तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ॐ तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we are in the conversations of 26th October 1884, and the running context is Thakur is talking to some devotee that something you must do, some sadhana you must do. And he turns to Mahimacharan and repeats the same thing to him. So we go back and pick up from there. Actually, the Mahima has asked a question. Thakur is again telling, you have to do some work, you have to do some work. His meaning is sadhana. So, Mahimacharan is asking, by what kind of work can one realize God? Master, very important thing, it is not the kind of work. But when you do as a sadhana, everything becomes sadhana. It is not that God can be realized by this work and not by that. The vision of God depends upon His grace. Still, man must work a little with longing for God in his heart. If he has longing, he will receive the grace of God. That is the formula. He has to do some sadhana, any sadhana, with longing in the heart, and when they are longing, then the grace of God comes, and everything depends upon the grace of God. To attain God, a man must have certain favorable conditions. So these conditions are nothing but parts of sadhana. The company of holy men, discrimination, and the blessings of a real teacher. Perhaps his elder brother takes the responsibility for the family. Perhaps his wife has spiritual qualities and is very virtuous. Perhaps he is not married at all or entangled in worldly life. He succeeds when conditions like these are fulfilled. Condition to sadhana, everything. Then he describes at length that there may be many conditions, but if everything is favorable, all the conditions can be met. The man, so I say that one gets everything through yearning. So the yearning is there, everything becomes conducive. That is the grace of God. To Mahima. Now he comes to Mahima and tells him something special because Mahima is a householder. You are a householder. Therefore, you should hold both to this and to that. Both to the world and to God. What is the meaning? You are a householder, so you have to work in the world. But in addition to that, you should hold to God also. That means do some sadhana. Mahima. Now Mahima has a shrewd man, he has a doubt. Sir, can one hold to that also? Sir, can one who holds to that also hold to this? So, are these two not opposite? If I try for God, can I retain my householdership? Can I retain my hold on the house? That is his question. Master, he gives an indirect answer, telling about himself. Once sitting on the bank of the Ganges near the Panchavati, holding a rupee in one hand and clay in the other, I discriminated. The rupee is the clay and the clay is verily the rupee. And the rupee is verily the clay. And then threw the rupee into the river. But I was a little frightened. How foolish of me to offend the goddess of fortune. So seeing God in everything, I thought, what shall I do if she doesn't provide me with food anymore? Then, like Hazra, I sought help to a ruse, in a ruse. That means some shrewdness, practical wisdom I showed. So that is like Hazra. I said to the goddess, Mother, may you dwell in my heart. So, like Hazra, not like Hazra. Huh? He wants Lakshmi, because she is the goddess, to sit in his heart. Let him experience that goddess. That is the prayer. When the Divine Mother was pleased with a man's second question. Huh? When the Divine Mother was pleased with a man's austerities and said to him, You may ask a favor of me. O Mother, said he, if you are so pleased with me, then grant that I may eat from a golden plate with my grandchildren. So, example of intelligence, shrewdness. Three things he has asked. Now, in one boon, the man got everything: grandchildren, wealth, and gold plate. I'll love to see this practical joke. When the mind is freed from woman and gold, it can be directed to God and become absorbed in Him. Now, this is to Mahimacharan. First thing is that some practicality. Then the main point is that you may live in the house, but don't be attached to bhoga. Bhoga, enjoyment of the objects, and enjoyment for the attachment to the means of objects, enjoyment. If the mind is freed from this, you can think of God. It is the bound alone who can be freed. Oh, now talks of the Jnanam. If he is bound by woman and gold, then he can be freed also. The moment the mind turns away from God, he is bound. It is bound. When does the lower needle of a pair of scales move away from the upper one? When one pan is pressed down by a weight. Woman and gold is the weight. So everything comes round to that. Sense of enjoyment, if you can give up, you can think of God. You may remain in the house. Why does a child cry on coming out of the mother's womb? With its cry, it says, as it were, just see where I am now. In my mother's womb, I was meditating on the lotus feet of God, but see where I am now. So, that is what is the significance of the cry. I was free from worries, now I'm outside. Mahima. To Mahima, you should renounce mentally. Live the life of a householder in a spirit of detachment. So that is what Thakur is telling. Mahima. Can a man live in the world if his mind is once directed to God? His question is the same. That if the mind is directed to God, can one live in the world? He is doubtful about that. Master, why not? Where will he go away from the world? That wonderful, huh? Can he remain in the world? Thakur says, where are you going to go? Anywhere you go, it is the world. So whether the mind is attached or not attached, that is the main point. Outside the world, where will you go? Where will you go away from the world? I realize that wherever I live, I am always in the Ayodhya of Rama. So it all is the mind. Ayodhya of Rama. This whole world is Rama's Ayodhya. So, corrected, huh? I live in the Ayodhya of Rama, not physically. Wherever I live, I can think of God. So this itself is the Ayodhya of Rama. After receiving instruction from his teacher, Rama said that he would renounce the world. Example of Rama himself in the Yoga Vasishta. Dasharatha sent the sage Vasishta to Rama to dissuade him. Vasishta found him filled with intense renunciation. He said to Rama, first of all, reason with me, Rama, then you may leave the world. May I ask you, if this world is outside God, if that is so, then you may give it up. Rama found that it is God alone who has become the universe and all its living beings. Everything in the world appears real on account of God's reality behind it. Thereupon Rama became silent. So, you can remain in the house, taking it to be God's play. In the world, a man must fight against passions like lust and anger. So that is the fight. Against many desires, against attachment. It is convenient to fight from inside a fort. That means conveniences are there. From his own home, at home he gets his food and other help from his wife. In the Kali Yuga, the life of a man depends entirely on food. It is better to get food at one place than to knock at 7 doors for it. That is what the sadhus are supposed to do. They don't have to knock, but they have to go and say Narayanari in front of 5 or 7 houses. Living at home is like facing the battle from a fort. So, compassionate toward the householder, showing them the way, showing that it is convenient. They look upon house as the convenience plate from where one can think of God and one can struggle against the lower passions. Now, example is wonderful. Live in the world like a cast of leaf in a gale. Food was taken in India even today on leaf plates. Now, after food, the leaf can be placed in some proper place or can be thrown out. Even then it can remain there. But if there is a storm and the leaf flies in that, is given to that storm, then it moves at the will of the storm. It has nothing of its own. That is the example which Thakur gives for total surrender to God. Actually, that is highest sadhana. Such a leaf is sometimes blown inside a house and sometimes to a rubbish heap. The leaf goes wherever the wind blows, sometimes to a good place and sometimes to a bad. Now God has put you in the world. take it like that. That is good. Stay here. Again, when he lifts you from here and puts you in a better place, that will be time enough to think about what to do then. So don't think of sannyas now. The mind is not yet ripe. God has kept you here. And you are talking that if that I think, that can I live? That condition of the mind is different. When one cannot remain in the house, that condition of the mind is different. God has put you in the world. What can you do about it? Resign everything to Him. That is that plate. Surrender yourself at His feet. Then there will be no more confusion. Then you will realize that it is God who does everything. All depends upon the will of Rama. So, this is a matter to be realized. Actually, what we do in our life, we feel we are doing this or that, but without the will of Rama, we could not have done that. Thakur Sannyas teacher Totapuri even could not die because the will of God was not there. So nothing in the world, one can try and struggle to do some sadhana, but nothing in the world is achieved without the will of God. That should be the spirit. That should be the conviction. That should be the feeling inside. Then you will realize that it is God who does everything. All depends on the will of Rama. So all depends on the will of Rama is a truth. But when you do struggle and try to surrender, then you will realize that it is the will of God. A devotee. What is that story about the will of Rama? So, will of Rama refers to a story. So a man has asked, Thakur will tell now. In a certain village there lived a weaver. He was a very pious soul. Everyone trusted him and loved him. He used to sell his goods in the marketplace. When a customer asked him the price of a piece of cloth, the weaver would say, by the will of Rama, the price of the yarn is 1 rupee, and the labor 4 annas. By the will of Rama, the profit is 2 annas. The price of the cloth, by the will of Rama, is 1 rupee and 6 annas. Such was the people's faith in the weaver that the customer would at once pay the price and take the cloth. The weaver was a real devotee of God. After finishing his supper in the evening, he would spend long hours in the worship hall, meditating on God and chanting. So that was not mere talk, he was a real sincere sadhak. His name and glories, chanting his name and worship hall, meditating on God and chanting his name and glories. Nama Gunagan. Now, late one night, the weaver couldn't get to sleep. He was sitting in the worship hall, smoking now and then. That is just a courtesy habit. When a band of robbers happened to pass that way, they wanted a man to carry their goods and said to the weaver, come with us. So saying, they led him off by the hand. After committing a robbery in a house, they put a load of things on the weaver's head, commanding him to carry them. Suddenly the police arrived and the robbers ran away. But the weaver with his load was arrested. He was kept in the lockup for the night. Next day, he was brought before the magistrate for trial. The villagers learnt about what had happened and came to court. They said to the magistrate, Your Honor, this man could never commit a robbery. Thereupon the magistrate asked the weaver to make his statement. The weaver, so he got support automatically. The weaver said, Your Honor, by the will of Rama, I finished my meal at night. Then by the will of Rama, I was sitting in the worship hall. It was quite late at night by the will of Rama. By the will of Rama, I had been thinking of God and chanting his name and glories. When by the will of Rama, a band of robbers passed that way, by the will of Rama, they dragged me with them. By the will of Rama, they committed a robbery in a house, and by the will of Rama, they put a load on my head. Just then, by the will of Rama, the police arrived, and by the will of Rama, I was arrested. Then, by the will of Rama, the police kept me in the lockup for the night, and then, morning, by the will of Rama, I have been brought before your honor. So he saw every step happen due to will of Rama. The magistrate realized that the weaver was a pious man and ordered his release. On his way home, the weaver said to his friend, by the will of Rama, I have been released. That is the story. So with such a spirit, you should live in the world. Whether a man should be a householder or a monk depends upon the will of Rama. Rama chooses to keep you an householder or a sannyasi. Surrender everything to God and do your duties in the world. What else can you do? A clerk was once sent to prison. After the prison term was over, he was released. Now what do you think he did? Cut capers to do his old cut capers or do his old clerical work, dance or do his old clerical work. So you are meant to be householder, even if you are free, you have to be householder. If the householder becomes a Jivan-Mukta, then he can easily live in the world if he likes. A man who has attained knowledge does not differentiate between this place and that place. All places are the same to him. He who thinks of that place also thinks of this place. So now this question is replied. When I first met Keshav at Jayagopal's garden house, I remarked, he is the only one who has dropped his tail. At this, people laughed. Keshav said to them, don't laugh. There must be some meaning in his words. Let us ask him. Thereupon I said to Keshav, the tadpole, so long as it has not dropped its tail, lives only in the water. It cannot move about on dry land. But as soon as it drops its tail, it hops out on the bank. Then it can live both on land and in water. Likewise, as long as a man has not dropped his tail of ignorance, he can live only in the water of the world. But when he drops his tail, that is to say, when he attains the knowledge of God, then they can roam about as a free soul or live as a householder if you like. Move about as a free soul or live as a householder if you like. You may remember in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yajnavalkya was a householder. But when he got knowledge, he thought he cannot remain in that house. Shankar has used this example to say that with knowledge one cannot stay in the house. But what about the examples of Janaka, Ramchandra, Bhagavan Sri Krishna? So, if by one example you can prove something, there can be other examples. So, Thakur's thing is, you see, in the Brihadaranyaka itself, Ushastha asked Yajnavalkya about God with half knowledge. Yat Sakshat Aparokshat Brahma Ye Atma Sarvantara Tanme Bruhi. Tell me about that Atman which is Brahman directly in an immediate way and which is the Atman of all. Tell me about that Atman. So Yajnavalkya tells him that Atman is absolutely transcendent. He sits down. Then Kahol comes up and he asks the same question again. So Yajnavalkya understands that he does not want the same thing because the reply has been given. So he wants to know through what process one realizes God. That is his question. So Yajnavalkya says, when a little knowledge comes in, he gives up or loses all his desires. And he becomes a sannyasi. When the knowledge still sinks in him, he becomes a Baal. Means no ego. When the knowledge still sinks more in him, he becomes a Mauni. That means given to meditation. And when the knowledge fully sinks in him, he becomes a Brahmin. And then, what then? He said, then the Brahmin lives as he lives. That is the answer. The Brahmin lives as he lives. So there is no rule or there is no condition. So we have to weigh now. Psychologically, it may be true that after realizing one cannot feel a particular house to be his house. But for some people, giving up is some action and they require no action. Or for some people, it may be will of God or necessary that they live in the world. So they live in the world. For example, Thakur had a disciple, Nag Mahashay, Dr. Durgacharan Nag. If you read his life, it is not one iota less than a sannyasi. But Thakur, God himself, wanted him to be an ideal householder. So, ideal for all householders. Absolute ideal. So, Thakur told him, you live in the house. So, why he lives in the house? Because his Guru or God himself has told him to do that. That may be for some people. That may have been for Janaka. That may have been for Ramchandra himself. So, there are various examples. And Thakur, another point is that so long as you are an householder, you should not think of becoming a sannyasi. Unripe tyaga is not correct. And so, Thakur makes him convinced that he can progress in household life. But if that stage comes, then you have to go. Both he has put. So you give that example. So if the householder becomes a Jivan-Mukta, then he can easily live in the world if he likes. So this place and that place does not remain for him. So about Keshav, he has told, Mahimacharya and the other devotees remained spellbound, listening to the master's word. So he has given clear example, given choice, assured them that they will not come to ruin if sincerely yearning is there. And they do some sadhana. Master, once I visited Devendranath Tagore, father of Rabindranath Tagore and leader of Brahma Samaj. with Mathur Babu. I said to Mathur, I have heard that Devendra Tagore thinks of God. I should like to see him. All right, said Mathur, I will take you to him. We were fellow students in the Hindu college and I am very friendly with him. So, why Mathur should go is because of this. We went to Devendra, Mathur has consideration of the word. We went to Devendra's house. Mathur and Devendra had not seen each other for a long time. Devendra said to Mathur, you have changed a little. You have changed a little. You have grown fat around the stomach. Mathur said, referring to me, he has come to see you. He is always mad about God. I wanted to see Devendra's physical marks and said to him, let me see your body. He pulled up his shirt and I found that he had very fair skin, tinted red. His hair had not yet turned grey. At the outset, I noticed a little vanity in Devendra. And isn't that natural? So he is not blaming him, but he is telling fact. He had such wealth, such scholarship, such name and fame. Noticing that streak of vanity, I asked Mathur, indirectly is talking to Devendra. Well, is vanity the outcome of knowledge or ignorance? Can a knower of Brahman have such a feeling as, I am a scholar, I am a jnani, I am rich? While I was talking to Devendra, I suddenly got into that state of mind in which I can see a man as he really is inside. I was convulsed with laughter inside. In that state, I regard scholars and the book learned as mere straw. If I see that a scholar has no discrimination and renunciation, I regard him as a worthless straw. I see that he is like a vulture which soars high but fixes its look on the charnel pit down below. I found that Devendra had combined both yoga and bhoga in his life. He had a number of children, all young. The family physician was there. Thus, you see, though he was a jnani, yet he was preoccupied with worldly life. Jnani means Nirakarvadi, Brahma Samaj leader. I said to him, you are the King Janaka of this Kali Yuga. Holding to one as well as the other, he drank his milk from a brimming cup. So, Janaka is the best example for those householders. So, Thakur is again and again bringing this very thing for the household. I have heard that you live in the world and think of God. To Devendra, I told him, so I have come to see you. Please tell us something about God. He recited some text from the Vedas. He said, this universe is like a chandelier and each living being is a light in it. So many lights together is in that chandelier. Once meditating in the Panchavati, Thakur is telling, once meditating in the Panchavati, I too had a vision like that. I found his words agreed with my vision and I thought he must be a very great man. I asked him to explain his words. He said, God has created man to manifest his own glory. Otherwise, who could know this universe? Everything becomes dark without the light in the chandelier. One cannot even see the chandelier itself. We talked a long time. Devendra was pleased and said to me, you must come to our Brahma Samaj festival. That I said depends on the will of God. You can see the state of my mind. There is no knowing when God will put me in a particular state. Devendra insisted, no, you must come. But put on your cloth and wear a shawl over your body. They want the gentlemanly appearance also. Someone might say something unkind about your untidiness, and that would hurt me. Hurt me. No, I replied. I cannot promise that. I cannot be a babu, a gentleman. Huh? Devendra and Mathur laughed. So, by his refusal, they laughed because he equated to a babu, a gentleman of the society. The very next day, Mathur received a letter from Devendra forbidding me to go to the festival. This happens because in Thakur's presence, their mind is different. And when Thakur is away, their mind is gone down. So he was insisting you must come, and now he withdraws. He wrote that it would be ungentlemanly of me not to cover my body with a shawl. All laughed because of this anomaly. There is another big man, Captain, that is that agent of Nepal, political agent. Though a man of the world, he is a great lover of God. To Mahima, talk to him sometime. So find out as householder how he lives a pious life. He knows the Vedas, the Vedanta, so his scholarship is like Mahima, more than him. The Bhagavata, the Gita, and the Adhyatma Ramayana, and other scriptures by heart. By heart he knows all this. You will find that out when you talk to him. You will find that out when you talk to him. He has great piety, religiousness. Huh? Once I was going along a street in Baranagar and he held an umbrella over my head. See his pious nature. He invites me to his house and shows me great attention. He fans me, massages my feet, and feeds me with various dishes. Once at his house, I went into Samadhi in the toilet, and he took care of me there, though he is so particular about his orthodox habits. So particular about her orthodox habits, but throwing up everything away for Thakur. He didn't show any abhorrence for that place. He has many expenses. He supports his brothers who live in Benares. They might have gone there because to die in Benares they will go to religion and they may not have any income. So he supports them. His wife was a miserly woman at first. Now she is so burdened by the expenses of the family that she cannot spend all the money she would like to. Circumstances have changed. Captain's wife said to me, he doesn't enjoy worldly life. That is why he once said he would renounce the world. True, every now and so Thakur telling her, true, every now and then he expressed that desire. Captain was born in a family of devotees. His father was a soldier. I have heard that on the battlefield he would worship Shiva with one hand and hold a naked sword in the other. Instead of the shield in that hand, he has Shiva. Captain is a strong upholder of orthodox convention. Because of my visiting Keshav Chandra Sen, he stopped coming here for a month. Because Keshav has gone out of orthodoxy. He said to me that Keshav had violated the social conventions. He dined with the English, had married his daughter into another caste, and had lost his own caste. I said to Captain, what do I care for such things? Keshav chants the name of God, so I go to him to hear about God. I eat only the plum. What do I care about the thorns? But Captain remained stubborn. He said to me, why do you see Keshav? I answered him rather sharply. But I don't go to him for money. I go there to hear the name of God. And how is it that you visit the Viceroy's house? He is a mleccha. How can you be in his company? That silenced him a little. So Thakur is straightforward and shows artificiality because he is bound to serve the Viceroy. So where is orthodoxy goes at that time? But he is a great devotee. Balanced, correct estimate of a man. When he worships, he performs arati with camphor. When he recites hymns, he becomes a totally different person. He becomes absorbed. To Mahimacharya, in the light of Vedantic reasoning, the world is illusory, unreal as a dream. The Supreme Soul is the witness of the three states of waking, dream, and deep sleep. These things are in your line of thought because he wanted to discuss Nirakar and Vedanta. The waking state is only as real as the dream. Let me tell you a story that agrees with your attitude. So Thakur can tally, can talk, behave to agree with anybody's attitude if he is sincere. So a nice Vedantic story. There was a farmer who lived in the countryside. He was a real nanny, not only talking or believing. He earned his living by farming. He was married and after many years a son was born to him, whom he named Haru. The parents loved the boy dearly. This was natural since he was the one precious gem in the family. On account of his religious nature, the farmer was loved by the villagers. One day he was working in the field when a neighbor came and told him that Haru had an attack of cholera, which was fatal in those days. The farmer at once returned home and arranged for treatment for the boy, but Haru died. The other members of the family were grief-stricken, but the farmer acted as if nothing had happened. He consoled his family and told them that grieving was futile. Then he went back to his field. On returning home, he found his wife weeping ever more bitterly. She said to him, "How heartless you are! You haven't shed one tear for the child." The farmer replied quietly, "Shall I tell you why I haven't wept? I had a very vivid dream last night. I dreamed I had become a king. I was the father of 8 sons and was very happy with them. Then I woke up. Now I am greatly perplexed. Should I weep for those 8 sons or for this one heart?" So the world is as real as a dream. That is the Vedanta. The farmer was a jnani, therefore he realized that the waking state is as real as the dream state. There is only one eternal substance, and that is the Atma. So Vedantic reasoning assimilated and followed in life by that farmer. But for my part, so he wants to remain in the world because the devotees pay equal importance to the immanence of God. They will not only say the world is unreal, they will say God dwells everywhere. But for my part, I accept everything. Turiya and also the 3 states. Turiya is the 4, which is ever present in all the 3, but not attached to any one of them. Because they are unreal. Turiya only is real. But A devotee takes the three states also real. Three and also the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep. I accept all three states. I accept all Brahman and also Maya, the universe and its living beings, that is the Maya. If I accepted less, I should not get the full weight. So that is going to tell one example. A devotee. The full weight, how is that? Allah, Master. Brahman is, by that simile, they love. Brahman, Master. Brahman is qualified by the universe and its living beings. Qualified monism. But different from Ramanuja. Ramanuja does not believe in the transcendent. And Thakur's qualified monism is after realization through the Advaita. Then, as existing for his life, it is God in everything. Automatically. At the beginning, while following the method of neti, of not this, one has to eliminate the universe and its living beings. Elimination. But as long as I consciousness remains, one cannot but feel that it is God Himself who has become everything. So if I am real, then the world is real. It corresponds with a passage of Shankar Bhashya in the Chandogya Upanishad. There he says that if the world is unreal, then I who experiences that world also is unreal. And if I is Brahman, then the whole world is Brahman. Feel that it is God Himself who has become everything. He alone has become the 24 cosmic principles. That means outside Prakriti. Inside also. When a man speaks of the essential part of the bell fruit, that now, wait, now he is telling. So talking about Brahman, now he is telling about that example. But when a man speaks of the essential part of the bell fruit, he means the flesh only, and not the seeds and shell. But if he wants to speak of the total weight of the fruit, it will not do for him to weigh only the flesh. He must accept the whole thing, seeds and shell and flesh. Seeds and shell and flesh belong to one and the same fruit. So that is the example for immanence of God, God all pervading. The Nitya and the Leela belong to the same reality. No difference between the transcendent and immanent. Nitya means the unchanging, transcendent, and Leela means the sporting immanence. Both are same reality. Therefore, I accept everything, the relative as well as the absolute. I don't explain away the world as Maya. Were I to do that, I should get short weight. So that weight comes here. Maimacharan, it is a good synthesis from the absolute to the relative and from the relative to the absolute. So Maima is like that idea. Master, the jnanis regard everything as illusory like a dream, but the bhaktas accept all the states. So it shows the difference. The milk flows only in driblets from the Jnani. Allah, he'll explain it. There are some cows that pick and choose their fodder. Hence their milk flows only in driblets. But cows that don't discriminate so much and eat whatever they get give milk in torrents. A superior devotee of God accepts, so superior devotee of God accepts both the absolute and the relative. Therefore, he is able to enjoy the divine even when his mind comes down from the absolute. Such a devotee is like the cows that give milk in torrents or love. So, through various examples, Thakur is showing that special feature. Mahima. But the milk of a cow that eats without discrimination smells a little. Laughter, master, with a smile. That's true, no doubt. Hmm. Therefore, that milk should be boiled. So the example he pushes, Thakur is ready. One should boil such milk over the fire a little while. There will be no smell whatever if you boil the milk over the fire of knowledge or love. So he has pushed that simile further. To Mahima, you explain Om with reference to A, U and Ma only? Only? Oh. It is not. Thakur is not asking. Thakur is making a statement. You explain Om with reference to A, U and Ma only. Mahima. A, U and M mean creation, preservation and destruction. Master, but I give the illustration of the sound of a gong. Tom, Tom. It is the merging of the Leela in the Nitya. So don't say it was unreal, it is merged. The gross, the subtle and the causal merge in the great cause. Waking dream and deep sleep merge in Turiya. The striking of the gong is like the falling of a heavy weight into a big ocean. Waves begin to rise. The relative rises from the absolute. The causal, subtle and gross bodies appear out of the great cause. From Turiya emerge the states of deep sleep, dream and waking. These waves arising from the great cause, ocean, merge again in the great ocean, from the absolute to the relative, and from the relative to the absolute. Therefore, I give the illustration of the gong sound Tom. I have clearly pursued all these things. That is the difference. It has been revealed to me that there exists an ocean of consciousness without limit. From its cause, all things of the relative plane, from it come all things of the relative plane and merge in it again. All this has been revealed to me. I don't know much about what your books say. So, without reading through the Shastras, he has experienced everything. Mahima, those to whom such things were revealed did not write the scriptures. They were wrapped in their own experiences. When would they write? one needs a somewhat calculating mind to write, practical mind. Others learn these things from the seers and wrote the books. That is the idea. That is Smriti, huh? Master. Worldly people ask why one does not get rid of attachment to woman and gold. That attachment disappears after the realization of God. I think we should leave it here. Huh? We'll take it up tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavivireeditam Kalma Shapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuyi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.